Chapter 1. From Words to Broken Glass, 1933-1939. In school, it all sounds simple. Hitler came to power, passed some laws, then the Holocaust happened. Easy timeline, right? Reality, much messier, much slower, and much more terrifying. Cut. Young German family at the table, radio on. Germany in 1933 is broke, humiliated, and angry. People want jobs, stability, and someone to blame. Hitler offers all three in one package: order, prosperity, and a convenient enemy. Why am I unemployed? The Treaty of Versailles, the crisis, the banks. Too complicated. Can we just blame the Jews? Sure, that's basically the plan. Nuremberg laws, turning neighbors into others. Nuremberg laws. Overnight, your neighbor is no longer Mr. Cohen from upstairs. He's legally non-citizen. No mixed marriages, no voting, no public jobs, no rights that really matter. It doesn't start with gas chambers. It starts with paperwork, stamps, and people shrugging. Well, that's the law now. Teacher. Class, remember, Jews aren't real Germans. Kid. But my doctor is Jewish. Teacher. Was. Find a new one. Step by step, Jews are pushed out of schools, universities, professions. They don't disappear yet. They just become invisible. Kristallnacht, when hate becomes visible night of November 9th, 1938. If the Nuremberg laws were the theory, Kristallnacht is the practical exam. Windows shatter, synagogues burn, shops are looted. Officially, it's spontaneous public rage. In reality, it's organized from above. Imagine, you go to sleep in your apartment over your small shop. At 3 a.m., you wake up to screaming, fire, and boots on the stairs. By morning, your business is gone, your synagogue is ash, and your husband is on a train to a camp for questioning. The name Kristallnacht sounds almost poetic. Night of broken glass. In truth, it's the night when the mask comes off. Germany shows what happens to those who were turned into others. Ghettos, the next cage war. Poland is invaded. Here, the persecution gets a new upgrade. Ghettos. You're told, we are relocating you for your own safety. In practice, that means barbed wire, overcrowded streets, and hunger. Warsaw Ghetto squeezes hundreds of thousands of people into a tiny slice of the city. Doctors, musicians, lawyers, children, all reduced to numbers in a starving crowd. People still hope. It's temporary. They can't keep us here forever. They're right. They won't. They have much bigger plans. By the end of this chapter, the genocide has not officially started yet. But every law, every broken window, every ghetto gate is a step towards it. Next chapter, when the plan stops being invisible. Chapter 2. The Machine of Death, 1939-1942. Ghettos were never the end goal. They were the waiting room. The real plan needed trains, camps, and people willing to turn murder into routine. From bullets to efficiency. At first, killing is manual. Special SS units, Einsatzgruppen, follow the army into Eastern Europe. They shoot Jews, Roma, and political opponents right at the edge of freshly dug pits. Soldiers return from these assignments, not as heroes, but as broken men. Alcohol, breakdowns, psychosis. Even executioners can't handle this kind of work. High command reaches a conclusion. Mass murder needs to be less personal, more industrial. Wannsee, Genocide as a Meeting Agenda, January 20th, 1942. A villa on Lake Wannsee near Berlin. Around the table, not Hollywood monsters, but educated bureaucrats, lawyers, officials, officers, coffee, folders, an agenda. The meeting topic, final solution to the Jewish question. Not what to do with people, but how to optimize the process. They're discussing millions, train routes, who's fit for slave labor, who goes straight to gas chambers. This isn't a sudden outburst of madness. This is cold-blooded logistics. Camps, factories with one-product concentration camps existed before, but now some are transformed into death camps. Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Belzec, Sobibor, names that will become symbols of planned annihilation. When a train arrives, people are sorted in minutes. Right, temporarily alive, labor force. Left, surplus, who won't even learn where they are. A guard might be polite, a doctor might smile, an orchestra might play at the gates. The entire point of this place, almost no one who enters should leave alive. Gas chambers, killing at scale shootings, are slow, loud, and leave too many witnesses. Gas chambers are presented as hygienic procedure. Showers, changing rooms, numbered hooks for clothes. People are made to believe it's just disinfection before work assignment. Doors close, Zyklon B pellets drop from above. Screams are muffled by concrete walls. 20 minutes later, silence. Bodies are removed, teeth pulled, hair cut, belongings sorted. Every detail turned into a resource. Even death must serve the system. In 3 years, hatred became technology. The state learned to kill as efficiently as it produced cars or steel. Next chapter. Those who refused to be just numbers. Uprisings, escapes, and those who saved lives at the risk of their own. Chapter 3. Resistance and Rescue, 1942-1944. History books love to say, 6 million died. But here's what they often skip. Millions fought back, escaped, survived, saved others. This isn't a chapter about victims. It's about people who refused to go quietly. Uprisings, when the condemned fight back Warsaw Ghetto, April 19, 1943. SS troops enter to liquidate the ghetto, meaning ship everyone to Treblinka. They expect the usual: fear, compliance, resignation. Instead, they get grenades, Molotov cocktails, and bullets from rooftops. Wait, they're shooting at us? Weren't they supposed to be weak and starving? They are. That's what makes this terrifying. The fighters, mostly teenagers and 20-somethings, hold out for nearly a month. They know they won't win. They know reinforcements aren't coming. But they fight anyway, because dying with a weapon feels different than dying in a gas chamber. Treblinka, Sobibor, Auschwitz. Prisoners organize revolts. Some succeed in destroying parts of the camp. Some escape into forests. Most die in the attempt. But every act of defiance proves one thing: the machine isn't invincible. Partisans, fighting from the shadows. Not everyone who escapes stays hidden. Jewish partisans join resistance groups across Eastern Europe. In forests, mountains, bombed-out cities, they blow up train tracks, sabotage supply lines, assassinate collaborators. Some groups rescue Jews from ghettos and smuggle them to safety. The Nazis called them bandits and terrorists. Funny how freedom fighters always get labeled that by occupiers. Righteous among nations, ordinary people, extraordinary courage. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people did nothing. Some actively helped the genocide. Some looked away. But a few, a precious few, chose to risk everything. Oskar Schindler, German industrialist who saved over 1,100 Jews by employing them in his factory and bribing officials. Irina Sendler, Polish nurse who smuggled 2,500 Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto in toolboxes, suitcases, and body bags. Raoul Wallenberg, Swedish diplomat who issued thousands of fake passports and sheltered Jews in Swedish houses in Budapest. These weren't superheroes. They were people who decided, not on my watch, no capes, no powers, just courage and the willingness to lie, forge documents, and face execution if caught. Entire villages hid Jewish families in attics, basements, barns. Farmers smuggled food to ghettos. Priests forged baptismal certificates. Every saved life was a small rebellion against the machinery of death, smuggling hope. Underground networks. Inside camps and ghettos, secret networks operated. Smuggled food, weapons, medicine, forged documents, bribed guards, organized escapes. In Auschwitz, prisoners documented atrocities and buried written testimonies in the ground, so that if they died, someone would know what happened. Imagine knowing you'll probably die tomorrow, and instead of giving up, you spend your last hours writing down the truth, so the world won't forget. Resistance didn't stop the Holocaust. The machine was too massive, too organized, but it proved something crucial. Even in absolute darkness, humanity survived. Next chapter, liberation. The gates open, the world sees, and justice begins. Chapter 4, Liberation and Justice, 1944-1946, January 27, 1945. Soviet troops reach Auschwitz. They expect to camp. Maybe prisoners of war, standard wartime stuff. What they find instead, nothing could have prepared them for this. Liberation. Opening the gates to hell. The soldiers see skeletal figures in striped uniforms, barely able to stand. Mountains of shoes, piles of human hair, rooms full of glasses, suitcases with names painted on them. Soviet officer. How many prisoners are here? Survivor whispers. About 7,000 left. Officer. And before? Survivor. Over 1 million. You're looking at what remains. The liberators aren't just horrified. They're traumatized. Many veterans later say that liberating camps was worse than combat. At least in battle, you know who the enemy is. Throughout 1944-45, Allied and Soviet forces liberate camp after camp. Bergen-Belsen, Dachau, Buchenwald, Treblinka, Majdanek. Each one reveals the same truth. This wasn't war. This was factory-scale extermination. The numbers, a tragedy beyond comprehension. By war's end, the scale becomes clear. 6 million Jews murdered. 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population gone. But they weren't the only victims. 250,000 plus Roma and Sinti, 250,000 plus disabled people under euthanasia programs, thousands of political prisoners, LGBTQ plus individuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet POWs. 6 million isn't just a number. It's every teacher, doctor, musician, child who would have lived. Every book never written, every song never sung. Entire communities erased from maps. Some survivors return home to find their families dead, their houses occupied by strangers. Neighbors who say, "We thought you were all gone. Why did you come back?" Nuremberg, putting evil on trial, November 20th, 1945. Nuremberg, Germany. The courtroom is packed. Journalists, translators, cameras. In the defendant's box, the architects of genocide, Göring, Hess, Ribbentrop, and others. Prosecutor reads charges: crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide. Defendant's favorite defense: I was just following orders. I didn't know what was happening. I was only doing my job. The tribunal establishes a precedent. Following orders is not an excuse for participating in mass murder. 12 defendants are sentenced to death. Others receive prison terms. Many Nazis escape justice, fleeing to South America, changing identities, living quiet lives while survivors never find peace. The aftermath, never forget the Holocaust, didn't just kill people. It shattered trust in civilization itself. How could doctors, engineers, teachers, ordinary citizens participate in industrial murder? Survivors carry tattoos, nightmares, and the weight of being the last witnesses. Today, Holocaust denial exists. People claim it's exaggerated, fabricated propaganda, but we have Nazi documents carefully archived, thousands of survivor testimonies, photos, films, physical evidence, the camps themselves still standing, and most importantly, the survivors who looked into cameras and said, "I was there. This happened. Remember." The Holocaust proved that hatred, left unchecked, can become policy. That bureaucracy can turn murder into routine. That ordinary people can commit extraordinary evil or extraordinary good. Never again isn't just a slogan. It's a responsibility for every generation, including ours.